Hello, Cassie Brown here. I am thrilled to welcome you to the Brace for Impact podcast. I've been incredibly blessed to work with and coach some of the top entrepreneurs, CEOs, and marketers in the industry. And do you know the one thing that they all had in common? They didn't wait for the perfect time, but hit the ground running. They learned to see opportunity in motion and just leap. I created this podcast to help other entrepreneurs own their calling, expand their influence, get uncomfortable, embrace the growth of the journey to leave an impact on the world around them. For those who are ready to stop playing it small, to pick up the mantle of contribution that our clients and the world so desperately need. If that's you, then get ready to brace for impact as I share with you the top strategies, real truths, and hacks to crash through the obstacles and arrive in alignment of integrity, impact, and income. It's time to initiate the ripple effect of change. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Brace for Impact podcast. I am Cassie Brown and I have an incredibly special guest with me today, Vicki Burkhart. We have shared the last few days at the In Real Life, the IRL retreat here at the beautiful beach in Encinitas, California, waking up to the waves just crashing on the balcony and just enjoying each other's company and talking about what our visions are. And Vicki and I were having a conversation this morning about, what our passions are. And I'm going to get into that. I don't want to tease it out too soon, but to set the stage and for an introduction, she is transitioning from a brick and mortar art gallery from m3gallery.com into coaching in the form of helping others identify their gifts and talents, simplifying to scale, and really just leveraging what they were made to do. And she was so passionate about this that she pursued certification through Sally Hogshead's program, How to Fascinate. And we got a chance to work with Vicki at the retreat on an How to Fascinate workshop. And I'm super excited for her to share what that looks like. I am a catalyst, but even more importantly is her heart just to create opportunities for others. And we realized this through a conversation we were having this afternoon. And I was like, more people need to hear what you're doing and the amazing work that you're creating. So we just ran upstairs, made a makeshift little podcast studio with a loud mic and a iPhone, and here we go. So Vicki, I'm so glad to have you with me.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. Did I miss anything on the introduction? Did we?
No, you covered it
okay
well.
Okay, perfect. So walk me through sort of like just a brief kind of transition into where you were and what you're going into, and also share like how that transitioned into like being able to facilitate that, How to Fascinate workshop that we did the other night.
Right, great. Yeah, so I was working in art and I had an art gallery and I had a number of artists that I would represent and see their work. And I noticed at that time that a lot of the artists really couldn't see the gifts within, what they're doing. They didn't see kind of the areas where they were specifically gifted. And for me, it was kind of easy to see, oh, you're really good at this, you're really good at that. So I was already, speaking into people's lives, helping them kind of find direction and going toward their area of giftedness. And so I had a brick and mortar gallery and I eventually closed it because we were living kind of in two different places. So I needed to kind of transition into a location freedom. And so that kind of moved me to my computer, starting to, look into all the different things that I could do. So I, learned everything from digital art, moving into marketing. And in the process, found the How to Fascinate system with Sally Hogshead. And I took the test, and I had a client take the test as well. And I started to realize that there were hidden gems, within this information. So after doing that, I realized there was a certification program, and I'm like super into the details, so I had to know more. So I looked into that, and it was just like I felt like I had kind of found my calling to take, my natural giftedness of just seeing gifts in others, but then to use this test that can scientifically draw it out of them and give them, full reported details on their assessment. So it's been kind of a nice combination for me. So just, my history of having, working in a studio and a gallery and working with people, I was already used to kind of speaking to people, and then So this retreat came up and I had the opportunity to share with everyone. I felt like it was an important thing for people to really discern what they're good at. And so that's how it all came together.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing, like the workshop that you did the other night, and I just want to acknowledge that, like, and we also shared through our conversation just the vision and activation, right? It's one thing just to kind of know in your heart you were made for something, or you kind of like you have an idea of the gifts that you could be, but then putting into action is a whole new level. So I was really excited in sharing with you because you mentioned, what you're launching and what you're working on, and this is a huge transition point for you. And I was coming off of my first Amplify retreat, so like it's a huge transition point for me. So like it was just extremely stimulating conversation, but just hearing your heart and your impact, and seeing that we were both so impact driven, it was like this is a message that more people need to hear. So and just real quick, like a bit of your story that was really, really interesting is you were talking about your husband's retirement and how he's coming up on retirement, but now you are stepping into your purpose.
Right. Yeah, it's exciting. I was a stay-at-home mom for years and, dedicated my life to that. And I was a volunteer for school, for church, etc. And, as I was rising out of my art gallery and out of my brick and mortar, and looking at what I could do, I just became extremely excited when I got into the digital realm and saw that you not only can impact, the small area around you, your community, you can reach the world. So literally at that point, I was just like on fire that everyone who has a gift, it needs to be shared with the world to some degree. So I was immediately, just impacted by the scaling capabilities, and so it just started moving me into kind of online course creation, etc., for others to help them kind of take their gifts and reach the world.
Yeah, and you were sharing the first course that you created, and like, holy smokes, it just completely filled my heart and blew me away. So I'm really excited to transition into that. Are you ready to talk about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to just pass it over to you because you told the story so beautifully. So I'm really, really excited to share that with everyone, because I think the biggest message is like, no matter where you are at in life, no matter, how many years you think you've spent into an industry, like, you're not pigeonholed into one thing, that you can always pursue your passion and your gift at any age, young, old, or anything in between. And I'm really excited for this story because like it's proof of that everybody has this living inside of them. You just have to unleash it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the story is, I'm an artist, and I'm an artist because my mom is an artist. I grew up in a very creative family with two entrepreneurial parents, and my mom is a quilt artist, and she makes the quilt that you'd put on your bed, but she also makes fine art quilts that you hang on your wall. And, for years I was just pursuing her, saying we need to create a course, because she was a teacher. She had her own store in a small town, but since retired and closed the shop. And she's still teaching, a couple people here and there in her home, but she also was a blogger. And so she was not real keen on the idea of teaching. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. So it took kind of a series of years. She had some health issues. She's a dual cancer survivor, and had a pacemaker incident come where she had to have a pacemaker installed as well. And for her, she's always been a very active person. People call her the Energizer Bunny because she's just got so much energy. So I think, the combination of these three incidents for health, finally at that point, I kept pushing, we need to create a course. Your work is just amazing. It's a legacy. This is a legacy project. And she finally got to the point where she was like, okay, let's do it. So it was kind of funny because I had talked, telling her we need to do this, while I had actually never created an online course. So I had to kind of quickly learn how. And so in the process, we created an online course, and we've now launched it 3 times.
Wow.
We have people from across the world taking the course, and, all the way Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. And we're doing live broadcasts every week. So the two of us, she's the big screen and I'm the little tech person in the corner. And, she's teaching her students. And I remember, she was a quilt teacher back in the day, but I wouldn't go to her shop and, sit in her classes. So I hadn't really seen her teach. And so before we're starting the online class, I'm like, okay, well now, be really positive. I'm giving her all these tips. And then she starts teaching, and I was like completely blown away, because her just care of her students is just, crazy awesome. They would ask a question, and she would go off into like a 5-minute description of everything they asked in extreme detail. And at the end, she'd have almost verbatim what they asked that she'd bring it back to. And so it's been an amazingly positive experience for my mom and I to just bond in this deeper way. But I didn't mention she's 78 years old. She is doing live broadcasts and weekly, and she loves it. She just absolutely loves it. So I've watched her go from kind of a place of, the darkness of having sickness and illness and not knowing how long you're going to live, to now seeing her life, a year and years from now, what she wants to do. And it's really been an amazing experience.
I love it. And not to mention, just like when you talked about the legacy and the heritage of this craft, like forever preserved. And I think that's one of the things to really hold on to, is that there is a whole generation. We talk a lot about, like, young and inspired, and you only have, so much time. But there's a whole generation out there with this knowledge and wisdom that needs to be respected and preserved. And so, like, there's a whole nother facet of what you guys have put together here. And I hope that was my biggest thing, is like, oh my gosh, will you come do a podcast right now? Because, like, more people need to hear. And so can you expand a little bit more about, like, just the shift of momentum in her and her passion, and just like, I think you had mentioned just she already had like a zest and a zeal for life, like a awakening of purpose.
Right. Well, we kind of dug my giftedness. I could see kind of within the art that she was creating, color and productivity were kind of her two key things. And as we started to dig into that and gave her clarity on what she's really great at, it was able to kind of fine tune, what we could move forward and teach. And I think that the clarity is really important to move into, the momentum. But once we had that clarity and we could just clearly define and start creating the course, etc., and we could kind of project what the next projects would be. It made it easier and easier for her to see, okay, well, right now we're going to launch the course one more time, and then we're starting to create another course. So she did move from, just kind of thinking about emptying her home and trying to get rid of things and downsize, for the time when she's not around anymore, and then shifted it completely to like today. And she's got like an extremely busy social calendar now. It's like I have to squeeze myself in to fit in. She's more social than she's ever been. And she's just in an extremely positive place, and it's so fun to see that. For anyone, but for my mom especially.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that your mom was almost like, and aside from the artist that you poured into, but like she was the first biggest recipient of your gift of seeing that potential in others. And so what's next for you?
Well, I'm kind of leaning into the Fascinate system right now. I'm trying to help people kind of discern what their area of superpower is, and as you can get clarity in that, it really helps kind of let everything else drop away, that you no longer have to do everything, that you can see, I'm super good at this, and therefore I can just focus on this, and you can become, differentiated by that because you are uniquely doing this and no one else is doing exactly what you're doing. So I'm stepping into this. I'm coaching, and I'm going to have a retreat for the Fascinate system, and I'd love to, help as many people as I can discern their area of giftedness and scale it to the world.
I love it. That's something we definitely agree on, and that was the big aha moment for me at the Amplify retreat, was that this is definitely like an area that is that superpower that comes as easy as breathing, that now that you know it, you have to step into it, or you get to step into it. Like, we had that conversation, like you get to take responsibility and open up doors for others, so that impact is expanded, that it's not just on you or on me, but we're opening up that same potential to expand the ripple effect to other people. And I'm so glad that you mentioned the How to Fascinate retreat, because that was another thing that we were kind of brainstorming about, like what does the next steps look like. And activation, I think, is a key component in what you do and what I do. And it's just showing people that when they take action, positive results happen. And then it's just a repeated pattern. And then everything else in between is sort of like this, just a simple how-to, right? Mm-hmm. But the first thing is that taking action. So I'm a catalyst. What are you?
I'm a subtle touch, actually.
Okay. Do you want to share a little bit about what that looks like, and just kind of give everybody a sneak peek? And I think what we could do, if it's okay with you, is share your link, and then everyone else can go through and do the quiz like I was able to do, because it was really insightful to my personality. Like when you do these personality quizzes, it's a little intimidating, because it's like, what's the right answer? Like, how do I pass? But this was really, I've done the DISC. I've done, what is the Enneagram? I've done the Myers-Briggs, the 16 personalities, and the Enneagram. But this one's different. Vicki, can you explain the difference between the popular personality tests like DISC, Myers-Briggs, even the Enneagram? That's really popular right now. But this one, How to Fascinate, is different. Can you explain how?
Yeah, the How to Fascinate system is actually based on marketing instead of psychology, and that makes it totally different. And it's coming from Sally Hogshead. She's a leading marketer, and she created kind of content and brands for the big businesses in the world. And she started to see the similarities between a business and a person, that a personality, also has characteristics that could just be simplified into kind of a tagline. So she's created a system that allows, it's only like a 5-minute test that you take, and it comes up with just amazing results. And if you take like the Myers-Briggs or the other personality tests, you're going to see, similar results in what you come out with the Fascinate. But the Fascinate is based on how people see you. It's not how you're seeing the world. It's how the world is seeing you. So that's often one of the kind of the blind spots. People cannot see themselves. They, you think you know yourself, but you don't really understand fully how other people see you. So for me, when I took the test and I came out with the subtle touch was my archetype, and it just kind of gave me a confirmation. I knew certain things about myself, but I didn't really have words for it. And once I saw it in black and white, it kind of helped me kind of give grace to myself in certain areas where I was kind of trying to become or trying to be what someone else is being, or feeling like I'm not good enough because I'm not what they are. I suddenly saw that who I am is who I am for a reason, and I need to, if I can be confident and lean into that, that's actually the way that I can differentiate myself.
I love that. I love that there's scientific data to back up what I teach people to do, in that like they were the only them that they were created, and if you'll never be an imposter in your own skin and just authentically showing up the way that you were made to be. A lot of people do get intimidated by watching others or trying to do a little bit of mimicking or like fake it till you make it. And I think that almost self-sabotages their progress, because they're fighting against their core drives. And so like for me as a catalyst, can you talk about some of those core drives, and then maybe even expand a little bit in yours?
Yeah. So as a catalyst, you have passion and innovation. So, you're driven to be with people, to help people, and people energize you. But it's also, people are seeing that in you. So they see your passion and they're drawn to your passion. So when you're marketing to people, actually using that side of passion is attracting people. And the innovation is just, you're going to keep creating. You have this desire to create, and you're not only creating your own business, you're creating other people's businesses. You're catalyzing them. You are a catalyst for them. So that's the exciting part, that it's not just a catalyst for yourself, you're a catalyst for the world. So as you kind of dig into, you'll have many many more bits of information about your archetype. Once you take the test, you'll receive an amazing amount of information from Sally about you. And it's like there's never more fun email to open than when it's all about you, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
So she's amazing. Yeah. And for me, I'm mystique and passion. So I have passion as my secondary, and mystique is more about listening. So it's, I'm able to help people. I'm able to draw out their gifts, not only from what I see, just kind of as a natural gift, but also through talking to them. And it's funny how many things that you have within yourself that, someone will actually say exact words to me, and I just pluck it right out of them. I'm like, that's it.
Right.
That's your area of giftedness.
Right.
You just told me what it was. And then it's like a goosebump moment for them because they said it. I didn't tell it to them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, like, as you're talking and why this is important, like a whole nother layer is if you're watching someone, you're watching, someone that you look up to, or that's a leader in the field or the industry that you want to be. It's really important to take a step back and see what type of personality they are. Because me as a catalyst, right, I have to lead with passion or I feel out of alignment. Mm-hmm. And I've seen other people who are like really bold and who are straightforward and it's almost like a stark personality comparison. And I've found myself even like, do I need to be bolder? Do I need to not lead with so much heart? And I just always kind of go back to like, this is always connected the way I need it to. I'm not going to change the way that I can get through to people. But there's that temptation there, right? Where you see a different personality and you kind of feel that obligation. Can you talk to the disconnect of why this is actually a strength, like to know this about yourself and to fully embrace it and own it versus trying to fit yourself in someone else's mold?
Right. Yeah, it's very important as you get clarity on yourself. I think you can still take the structures of what other people are doing, if it's an email template or some series of emails that you would send, you just are going to change the voice. So it's all about the voice of what you're speaking, how you're speaking. So I'm with Mystique, I'm speaking in kind of, the depths and the details are very interesting to me, and I've kind of attract people through the curiosity of learning more. And for you, you're going to attract people by the passion that you have to raise them up and to help, project them into the future. So it's, once you have the clarity on yourself, you can just kind of look at the guidelines and the structures that others have created that they're offering to you as templates, and then just say, okay, I'm going to take that. I know it works. I think it's amazing. And now all I have to do is just kind of edit it to be from my voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how do I put more of myself in there?
Right. And it's actually, Sally has results showing that that's your most effective way to communicate. If you try to communicate through that template, in the voice of the powerful person that's not you, it's going to be, like you said, out of alignment and a disconnect that other people perceive too. So it won't be as effective for you, literally. So for you, all you have to, as you're tweaking it, you're not only, doing something that feels in alignment, it's also going to be the most productive return for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And as we wrap up to the close, like, what would you want your most important message to be to anyone listening right now?
Well, I believe every single one of us is here for a reason, and we have gifts that, we may not have found yet. We haven't determined what they are yet. And I just believe that you need to rise up and get clarity on yourself. And sometimes, you think moving forward and running forward towards something is the most important thing, but sometimes stepping back and kind of going a little bit internal is actually what's going to project you forward much faster. So I would just encourage you to take the How to Fascinate assessment through my link.
Yeah, and we'll share that for everybody.
Start it in that way, and that's going to help you get clarity on yourself.
Yeah, and I think, I didn't even look at the big scale of this because this particular episode is going to drop right after. This one will follow the one where I did on like rest and reflection. Sometimes you have to slow down before you move forward, before you accelerate. And this month, I've been in a huge season of growth and acceleration but I really want to dig in and make sure like I've reflected on what it means like to keep going in this direction and really plan it out so that impact is a simple path. And so that's what we did here, coming off of my Amplify retreat and then into the retreat here with Kathy. So I love the timing of things and just honestly like the way that God works and puts people in your life and the perfect timing of everything. So some of you listening may be in that season where you're in acceleration or you're about to accelerate, and you may need to take that internal reflection and just really kind of like dig in to be ready for the long run. And so we'll definitely share all of Vicki's links. I think what we're going to do is the m3gallery.com /brace for impact.
Yes.
So by the time you guys are hearing this, everything should be all set up and ready to go. I would definitely encourage you to follow up on the invitation and take the How to Fascinate, because it was very insightful for me, and just also really confirming that I continue to lead the way I do with communication, because all of us battle like the internal mindset, like am I doing enough, am I saying enough, am I communicating, connecting the right way. And I love that this is a twist on the other personality tests with marketing, because most companies, if you're not like a large corporation, you do really have to pay attention to your personal brand. So that would be, I would really encourage everyone, if you're listening to this, chances are you do have more of a personal brand as opposed to like a corporate entity. So definitely leverage this as a part of your tool set and secret weapons.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye guys.
Really fun.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I hope you've received value, encouragement, and exactly what you need to help keep you in momentum to grow and impact the world around you. Big or small, we all make a difference. Thanks also for subscribing, downloading, and leaving a review. This helps us reach others who need this message in their life. If you know anyone who would benefit from this podcast, please share so you and I can help more people boldly step into purpose. It is my heart's mission to help and encourage others. My internal belief that a rising tide lifts all ships. So much of what we talk about on the podcast is leading with value and building relationships through service. So we've created a collection of resources for you to continue growing, whether you are just getting started or ready to scale your business. Visit amplifymyimpact.com for show notes, downloads, programs, and more information about how to directly work with our team to amplify your impact and change the world.